Hey guys, it's William. I'm here with Matt. We're going to do a live audit, live GMB audit, live SEO audit. I'll give a few minutes so a few people come in, but just going to do a live audit for him. Screen share, show you the whole process. We're going to be going over his. It's in a regulated industry, so there are some features in GMB we can't use, but other things we can do, and still, do some things. So let's go ahead and get the screen share up. All right. So this is the website. It's in CBD. So obviously it's heavily regulated. We're going to run an audit on this entire website and it's mainly a local business. Do y'all also do national, or is it just specifically local?
No, it's specifically local. So it's actually not CBD. It's full THC.
Yep, THC.
It's regulated under Prop 64. So there's a ton of regulation around it. So they basically have 3 stores, 3 areas: one in West Hollywood, one in Beverly Hills, and one in downtown Los Angeles area.
Okay. So what's your main, if you will? I know, it's like keyword research and all that, but what's the main keyword? Like if I was looking for THC and I wanted some and I was in your area, besides obviously typing in THC, what am I going to be looking for? What would I associate with your business?
So the 2 most trafficked keywords are just the word dispensary near me, weed dispensary, and weed delivery. Those are the keywords that we found to drive a lot of success for our clients.
Yep. Same here. So the number one problem, just because we're going to go over everything from a CRO point of view as well as this on-page technical SEO. So first problem you have when I'm looking at the site, if you're a local website, I would want a phone number up in the top right-hand side, a call to action button, and I would even dare put my address up there if you have at least one main physical location. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, so what'll happen is whenever I scroll, and why I say that, let's say, for example, I went to actually scroll and this was on a mobile device, you would have a call to action button up here that was actually following me instead of a hamburger menu. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the big reason I'd want to do that. Number 2, the other big factor here is your H1 header that you have going on just as art elevated. Yeah. So I know it's, y'all are in a CBD environment, or THC specifically, to relax people, and we're putting art up and, expression of art, which is really cool. I actually used to be an artist. I was an AP art, matter of fact. But your header should relate the main keyword, what you're trying to get ranked for, which should be, let's say, THC near me, or dispensary near me, or dispensary Los Angeles, or wherever your main location is. And you have none of that up here. The only thing I see is the artistry, cannabis, retail stores, and that's not even an H1 header. That's a subheader. So that's number 1 product. Then this goes over to shop. That's cool. The only thing I don't like about this shop button is it doesn't pop. By pop, I mean use like one of these bright orange colors down here to say shop now, that when I look at it, it doesn't kind of fade into the background. It pops out. So I go, let me hit this button, because what we want to do not only is to get ranked, but actually to create phone calls and, sales, obviously. My subheader information here, I would actually have something that mentions where I'm at and that I'm a dispensary, etc., some geo information. Then obviously this looks pretty nice. You got the nice pictures. Everything's good. Once again, I'd want these buttons to pop out some more if it was me. You have the slider. We have this content. You're pretty content thin on the homepage. And I kind of expect that because it's, it's not your typical, if you will, website. It's going to be more geared towards selling per se. But even that being said, especially in that industry, you need a lot more keywords. You have 289 keywords. 289 words, and you need closer to like 1,500 or more. And that's just based off of experience in that industry. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so the other thing to just kind of throw, thing to note here. So all the locations, those 3 locations, they live here. If you go to shop, visit actually, it should pop up 3 location pages, which does have a lot of the. So if you look at, so go to visit.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that.
Yeah,
I got to run this report while that's going on.
Got it. So, so essentially, and this is something interesting for probably a lot of SEOs on here. So, this page right here sort of came from a conversation. We told the client, "Hey, we need X, we need Y, we need Z." What you kind of ran through, and they were like, "Hey, well, we don't want that on the homepage." We're like, "Well, it's going to hinder us a little bit." And so, what we did, and what's worked for the West Hollywood location, at least, is we took the visit section and we created Dispensary West Hollywood, which is located. Would have what you're talking about. And then when we did the citation, so on and so forth, that's what we drove to. So, if you if you want to pull that up, maybe that could be another.
Yeah, we'll get into that for the location pages and stuff. So, so next, so for example, like me and you have talked about before, is creating location pages. So you've done pretty good here. Art and cannabis for all. Find your area, neighborhood. Obviously, I don't live. Let's see. Searching. Allow. I'm not going to have any. So let's type in Los Angeles because I don't live in Los Angeles. I have to do that. Yeah, there we go. So as Los Angeles, Koreatown, Beverly, explore this space and see how you get it set up. So your URL structure is good too. It has Koreatown dispensary. Find your inspiration. This is good here. Once again, though, I mean, even if they didn't want it, I would also still advise them. H1 header still needs to have that, but you do have here, which is good. But it's just Los Angeles, Koreatown. Let's see what else. See, my location pages, like I've shown you, if you've watched any of my other videos, I would do it a little bit different. So I would also put in things to do, places to go, that information from Google that Google gives you on a silver platter to rank. And then, I mean, really, once again, they're content then. If you're going to rank in this industry, you're going to have a lot more content than this, which your word count's 165 words. Let's go to, most of them I'm going to assume are probably going to be the same.
Yeah, West Hollywood is actually the one that's probably closest to what you're talking about.
Let's go to West Hollywood. But yeah, that's going to be one of the biggest issues if you're looking at it as content. And then you got a video on here, which is cool. Yeah, this is the closest that I would say, but even that's still probably closer to, I want to guess it. We're probably going to say, let's say 300 words, maybe. Yep, 384. So you need about 750 words. And I say that because it's just from experience. It's not some set number. Some people less words, some people more. Let's see if you got a blog on here.
It's called The Abstract.
And see what your blogs look like and go from there. So let's say this blog.
And these we just put these up. They haven't been interlinked yet. If you go back to a couple other ones, but you can kind of take a look here.
That's decent. We stick around, 2,500 words when we do blogs. Then I would obviously have them linked. And then are you using these on something like Quantum Presswire?
We'll do press releases. We won't put the blogs out, but is that something that you do? You'll actually...
Yep. We actually take it and then we would put it, not only will we put it on a press release, but then we would also interlink back and do press release stacks. So when we're doing a blog post or whenever we're doing a GMB post or whenever we're doing a press release, we're always referring back to the previous press release. And it creates what's called a press release stack. Also, with the press releases we use with Quantum, it also puts a GMB, your NAP, name, address, phone number information in there, and then also puts in the GMB signals and creates some proximity signals. And then on top of that, whenever I do a press release, I hot link or copy the images from posts and put them on there as well. So all of that creates multiple signals and stacks. So let's go through your lounge here. But at least you're blogging. Some people don't even do that. Once again, content thin. And we're just going to go through all of it real quick. Just content thin. It's just a lot of it's going to be very content thin. And sometimes you can't do nothing about that because that's just the way the client wants it. I just try to explain to the client. I give them an example. Here's a site that's ranking. Here's what it took. And here's what you have and the issues you may or may not have. Now, as far as the technical audit aspect of it, I use something we like. It's just Link Assistant. And they have SEO Audit, SEO Ranker, Spyglass, Backlink Checkers, all tons of different products you can use. And even that, I do the manual audit. Plus, I also do this computerized audit. But it's telling me you got some 400 status codes. You got 14 broken links. You do have some resources restricted from indexing, but likely that's the back-end files. It should be, but I'd still check that out. You have 240 empty alt tags. Alt tags being what are you calling the image whenever it's inserted onto the page. So, for example, if I went to this image right here and I went inspect this image, you know, I'm seeing that you're calling it just our story JPEG, right? Which has nothing to do with cannabis and it has nothing to do with your location. There's no geo information in there. Same thing, I can go here. This one you're calling founders JPEG, which it may be the truth. This is the founders, but it has nothing to do with the keywords you're trying to rank for. Okay. So then you have other ones where you're just missing empty alt tags altogether. You got 36 pages with empty meta descriptions. Most, you know, a lot of SEOs will tell you don't need to do the meta description because Google makes up their own meta description. To me, that's just completely utter BS because you still need to tell them, hey, this page is about this product. You still need to create, if you will, some enticing text or some text that says, hey, click on me. So when I'm doing a Google search and I see the snippet, I go, oh, this seems like a really cool place. Let me click on it. Versus Google choosing whatever they want the meta description to be. It's definitely mobile friendly. You have some dynamic URLs going on here. We got to fix that. But overall, these fixes would probably take me about a week to fix, and I would fix that. Let's go on a couple of other things. Y'all could see all these little nice fancy tools that everybody uses. This is just going to, you know, we'll go through everything, like I said, manually, but this is going to do things for you faster. I also will use SEMrush to look up a lot of this stuff. I used to use Ahrefs. I'm not going to be using Ahrefs anymore. But let's all.
What's the reason behind not using Ahrefs?
Just because they've given me too many issues and don't know how to solve those issues. So, and SEMrush definitely solves my issues whenever I ask them to. So that's the main reason. Ahrefs. At one point, I have multiple people logging into, you know, like I got, let's say 10 seats and you try to explain that to them. And then they're like, well, you know, we don't know if you're actually using this account for what you're supposed to be using it for. I'm like, listen, I have 250 plus new clients every month and they didn't want to hear that and, you know, banned one of the accounts. So let's see what else we got here. So it is what it is. It's nothing against them. It's just the people they have working for them don't know how to deal with certain things. So you got your sitemap, which is good. You got your category set up. So you got your edibles featured. I would have merged these two right here. Then you got cannabis deals, cannabis 101. You're using Yoast. I would not personally use Yoast, but that's just my personal. I prefer Rank Math. Yoast is okay, but Rank Math, and there's another one most people don't know about. I'm going to be featuring later on. It's called Squirrely, and it's really cool. Yeah, Dan Volts is asking something. I'll show you that in a second. How do you pull up the mobile view of a site? That's a really cool feature, and I'll show you that. But so you get your sitemap. I do. Yeah, you got your privacy policy, terms of service. You got to keep those up. Keeps you out of trouble. So you got all that stuff. Let's go over here to our report. So it's saying you got 36,000 backlinks. And one thing I don't like seeing, and it's right here. You see this? It's like, bam, out of nowhere, you jumped way up, which shows me as if this is unnatural, as if you bought them. So what I want to see is a continually graph going up, 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 not up, 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 then boom. That's just me. If I look at your in-link rank on your domains that are coming in, you have anything to me that's below, let's say, the 20s is really garbage. It's not going to be worth too much and not giving you anything. But so you got 36,000 backlinks, and out of those 36,000 backlinks, it's only about 42 of them that are any good. The rest of them are just pretty much garbage. You need some niche relevant backlinks, and it's very hard to do in that industry as well, because not everybody will do, if you will, THC, CBD, medical marijuana type backlinks. So, but that's that one. So we did that. And now we can let's go into your actual GMBs, because you got 3 of them for this, right? So we could use Plepper, or you could use GMB Crush. Both of them are awesome. I actually really like Plepper when I'm looking for schema aspects and different things that we're going to be doing. Speaking of schema, let's go back real quick and look up your schema. And yes, I know the advanced markup schema checker, or if you will, the schema checker is one. You can use that one or the development tool, but I still like this one. I'm going to run a test on your schema, see if you got some basic schema or some advanced schema like us. Did you buy the schema with us yet?
No.
Okay, so this, sometimes people have bought it, and I'm just curious. We'll be able to tell generally right away. And if you're using Yoast or Rank Math or a plugin to do your schema, most of the time it's going to be very basic being like 3 pages of schema. When I say schema, it's like, this right here. Yeah. Join us at this. It's, just a card. What's your web page? That's very basic. It's 1 page here. What's your organization? This is typical Yoast or plugin type schema. Whereas if you were to run some schema like on sites that I've done, I could show you. This is proper location schema, if you will. If I was to run this and you see the schema, you would see the vast difference. When I say advanced schema, also we're doing schema for each page. It's not one schema blasted across the entire site, which is a lot of these people will do sometimes. So for example, image object course is one thing. Local business, this is our local business schema.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. This is why I say we do 30 to 40 pages. And then if you do creative work, same thing. And we keyword stuff as much as we can in here. Same as all your citations and any, this is your local business information. Yours was like, a paragraph or so, but as you can see, that's ours. I mean, it's an insane amount. So I would also do your location pages the way we do them. Then I would also do the stack, and then on top of doing the those fixes, and then doing the location pages properly and getting those things taken care of, we do things just a tad bit different. So now let's go into the GMBs. So in the GMB, so things you're not going to be able to do as a THC or medical marijuana, any of that type of stuff. You're not going to be able to do some posts. You're not going to be able to do some products or services, stuff like that. But there's some things we can still do, right? You're only going to want 1 to 4 categories. You'll come in here a lot of times, and a lot of people will put in 20 categories and just go outlandishly. And what happens is they're diluting what I'm trying to tell Google what I'm about, right?
Yeah.
So first thing you want to do is have your main category, as in this case, cannabis store, right? Delivery service. Yes, you could do it. Certain things I would just leave it as cannabis store personally. I wouldn't personally put the rest of this. It would just be cannabis store. And I could also do a GMB crush for you and show you some other things. Now, on your reviews, let's look at your reviews. On your reviews, you could actually respond. Most people know it's about 1,000 words. You can actually literally put some geo information in there and just a ton of different information in regards to your keywords. But so, for example, on this one, this is a really good review. They put in some pictures. You responded or someone responded. But another thing I do is I always come in here and I always check off this little thumbs up. You know, I do that all the time. Or if I get a good review, I share it on my Facebook wall. I share it on my, business page. I'm trying to create some social signals. When someone gives me a 1-star review, that's one thing a lot of people are like, well, how do I get rid of it? Okay, so you could try this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I'm not trying to specifically pull out this one, but if you had a 1-star review, click on these buttons here. It's going to give you some options. I'm not going to fulfill it, but I go, okay, not to do with this business. Sometimes, depending on the category, I'll say spam, conflict of interest. But prior to marking a negative review, I will say this is not a real customer. It's put by a bot. Then a few days later, I will go in and mark the 3 dots and choose that it is a spam or a bot type review. That being said, the other option is I can actually go in and write 1,000-word, or if you will, 1,000-word character review response utilizing multiple of my keywords, multiple of the location. That way I'm actually filling my GMB with, more, if you will, content. And this one, I mean, like I said, one of the things I'll do, hopefully you don't mind, I'm going through here, I'm marking some thumbs up. When I'm responding to people, I'm going to be thumbing up almost all this because I want to create as many signals as possible. The more, the better, obviously. I don't really see any negative reviews. Your reviews are really canned, though. It's like, so glad you had a great experience. Thanks for coming in. Kind words. Problem with that isn't even that it's not genuine. It doesn't look genuine. And then on top of it, you're not using any of your keywords. Like this one is a good one, right? Thank you for visiting our our marijuana dispensary location in West Hollywood. That's, we are so glad you had the best cannabis experience. That's really good. Then you can also use, if you haven't been using Conversion AI, you can use Conversion AI for your Google responses. So you don't have to think, well, what the hell do I write all the time? And I go to Conversion AI and I can take, if you will, the one little string of content and I can make a response, if you will, right? And let's go up here and go content. I'm just going to put a new document. I'm just going to choose it. Yep, go ahead.
So, I obviously I've been seeing Google pull keywords from the actual reviews themselves. What I didn't think they were pulling was from the responses. I talked to a couple other SEOs and, they said, yeah, I was, the consensus was they are definitely pulling from reviews. So we have peppered some reviews in with keywords, nothing too crazy, nothing spammy. When it came to doing the actual responses, they said that the keywords weren't getting pulled. So is that false information from what you've seen?
Yeah, that's completely farce, if you ask me. If you're not putting in your keywords and locations, you're wasting your time, in my opinion.
Got it.
It's you're wanting. Think of it this way: like when you're putting data in here, Google sees all this data. So I'm trying to give them as much data points as possible. Like the more these people put in photos and your keywords and your location, the better. Okay. Then we could go on to the next one. So you got your website here. That's good. Let's see how many photos you have, which you should have more because you got more and more people actually putting them in, which is awesome. Yep. So your photos are good. And I know a lot of people, well, you should geotag them or whatever. Geotagging gets stripped. Consensus is definitely, that's one I do agree with, that they do definitely get stripped once you actually put them in. So sometimes it's a waste of time. Sometimes it's not. On the cannabis industry, you're not going to be able to use products. You're not going to be able to use services most of the time. You're not going to be able to, if you will, do some of the things I would definitely say. I'm not seeing your description of your business here, so I don't know without seeing the back end of that why that's not being done.
Yeah, so oddly that's on there. We do have like an about info like section where we put keywords in.
Correct.
So
And that one, they allow you to use 750 words. So I would definitely use up to 750 words. I don't want to just put in one paragraph, which is what most people do. Let me give you an example of a fully optimized GMB per se. Let me pull it up real quick. This is not in your industry, but this is in another industry. Let me pull it from here. So if we go to this one right here, just want to show it to you. So this is Lancaster Dental. We're doing posts, obviously, because we can, that sort of thing. When we go down here to, if I was to show you, let me pull up the back end of it, and I'll actually show you everything, what we're going to want to do if you can, because some of y'all listening might not be in the medical marijuana or THC business or CBD business, so you'll still be able to do this. So this is kind of why I wanted to show them too, is let's say you're in this business, I've went over Google post yesterday, but you could see, for instance, we only have one category. All right. We only have 3 service areas. I don't put it all out there. Then the services, I list out every page that we have on our business page should reflect our services. And then every one of this is our description down here. If you were to actually look at 723 words out of 750. And then if I look at, for example, our products, my products reflect every single one of our pages on that website. And I enter in, for example, the name of the page is sedation dentistry, category sedation dentistry. I don't put in the price, and then I put in a product description of almost 1,000 words, which is from that page. And then I hyperlink it over to that page.
Yeah.
So that's a fully optimized, if you will, GMB, when you can do that. But in this case, we can't do some of those things, but we want to do as much as possible. Make sure there's no additional categories put in here, just the cannabis store, which is what you did on this one.
Yeah. And then this is the newest GMB. This is maybe put up about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And then on the reviews, you just want to, let's go here, lowest rating. Like on this review right here, these 1-star and 2-star reviews, I would respond with like 1,000-word, review response and utilize it as much as possible.
Okay.
And then obviously all the rest of them that are good ones, we want to thumb up and say awesome, because we're trying to send some signals. Like I just never would do something like that. Thanks for the kind words. That's like a total waste of time. Yeah. But the rest of them, I can show you, like on this, you'd hit flag as inappropriate, conflict of interest, or generally something, the review is not relevant to the place. And sometimes I can get them marked off because I actually have a level, a different level guide account. I have like a level 8 or a level 10. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And go down to here. This is a number 2. But even that being said, a lot of people are really worried about reviews. There's actually a study that came out and tells you that actually if you go to a GMB and it says 10, all of them, let's say 100 reviews or 40 reviews, and they're all 5-star, I probably am not going to trust you because I think it's fake automatically. Yeah. There's a study on it. It's not just me saying this stuff. If we go over here, same thing. Your main category here is actually store and then cannabis store. So I'd actually go in there and make the main category cannabis store. You got your website here. Each of these, once you're done, need to be linked over to the location pages.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing is this opens up, if you will, the main website, not the actual location page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I have a question on that. So in this case, the client's like, hey, we need the homepage to stay how it is. Location pages, go crazy, go optimize the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And would that affect? So let's say we go ahead and do that. Really, just nail down. Get down 1,500, 2,000 words on the location page. Get it down. Really get it down. But then the homepage is the way it is. Would that send mixed signals? Would that do it?
To me, I mean, if the client, personally, if a client's coming to me and they want my help, I'm going to tell them this is the way I will do it. And if you don't, honestly, if they don't want it done that way, then you need to find another SEO to do it the way you want, because I'm going to do it the way I know will work. And they may know everything in the world about THC and what grade this THC is and everything else, but they're coming to you for a reason, which should be you have the, advice of an SEO. In my case, I have well over, a decade, 2 decades, literally. And if they don't want my help and they don't want to follow instructions, I just won't work with them. That's just me personally, mainly because it will wind up being more of a headache and a hindrance than anything. For instance, when I'm first going to your website and Google's going to go to your homepage and you see a header that just says, for instance, in your case, let's go back to it. Your header literally only says art elevated. That tells me nothing. It doesn't even tell me where you're located, for one. And then it tells me, I guess you're about elevating art. Which I know what you're trying to tell me mentally, but you're not telling me as a bot, because you got to remember what Google sees, if you will, is this stuff right here. They see code. They see code. They don't see what you see, which is this. Yeah. So when I look at it, I go, okay, the name of your description, your title of your business is the Artistry Medical Marijuana Dispensary. Well, the problem with your title already, you don't have where you're located, Then you go on your description, Cannabis Reimagined, join us at the Artistry, the largest dispensary in West Hollywood. See, that's awesome. But I would have put that up towards the front, Cannabis, Dispensary, West Hollywood Reimagined, something like that. Yeah. There's some things I would definitely change, that just, for me, there are certain things I would be willing, let's say, for example, that maybe they don't want to do this one thing, but there are other things that are, if you will, uncompromisable. Like, the headers, to me, that's uncompromisable. The location pages and schema, uncompromisable, especially when you get in an industry in which, for example, you have a lot of competition, okay, and it's a heavily marketed industry. And usually when you're in CBD and someone's good, they're ranking, they're obviously probably got an SEO doing it for them.
Yeah.
Versus, let's say it might be, let's say, a plumber out in Brunswick, Georgia. I can easily rank them. You don't necessarily have to do advanced schema and all this other craziness I may advise you to do, but in this one, I would definitely say you have to.
Yeah. And another question is because, so this is a multi-location store. So there's 3 locations currently, and they're opening more consistently every quarter. So from an SEO perspective, because the fact that we left the locations out of the homepage is because that there's probably going to be more locations. So how do you tackle that from like a SEO perspective as you add?
It's not much different. I actually have in the junk removal industry, which is also a spammy type of a niche for the most part. And what we do is they have multiple franchises. We're opening up every quarter. We started out in Texas, etc. And then we'll go through different cities in Texas. And what we have is we have a GMB per location or per franchise, and each of them have their own location page. That's option 1 of doing it, and then tying that GMB to the location. Option 2 is I duplicate the entire site and I optimize it for that specific location, changing the headers, changing the content, using specific geolocation type information. And then I tie that new site to a new GMB.
Okay.
So that's option 2, but
got it. And then, so let's say you're doing the former options, which is what we're doing. We have location pages. How would you tackle the home page, for example, when you said, hey, this said this, just the site tag says the artistry dispensary.
I would put it at your main dispensary location. Like generally someone that has a franchise, they have corporate offices, and I would put the homepage towards the corporate office.
Got it. So the homepage in this case is the West Hollywood flagship.
Correct. That's your corporate office.
Okay. Understood. Got it.
And then I don't know if you've looked at GeoGrids or any of that yet, but you could also go into GeoGrids and then
with the GeoGrid, I actually can send you a Dropbox link. I just pulled a bunch of local Falcon reports for all 3 locations.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you could. I would repull them with local Viking because I prefer local Viking over local Falcon. But
is there? I use local Viking, and I just personally just didn't really make a difference. It was pretty one-to-one on data.
Well, local Viking gives me the ability to, if you will, manage all my GMBs in one location. I can respond to reviews. I can look at descriptions where edits done. I can set up ranking reports to be automatically done. Local Falcon's a little bit limited for what I need. So I used to use local Falcon. Most people have seen me use local Falcon. And I've started just really heavily using local Viking, especially now. We're at like 1,000 clients. So by end of year, we'll be at 3, and we have to have something that we can scale with. So there's a couple of questions some people had before we get off here. So Dan Volts, he wanted to know how we pulled up that view of a site on mobile. Let me show y'all real quick. Let's go ahead and add screen share to the website and just actually show them, and then we'll get off here. But so for example, let's show you all this. So all we're going to do is we're going to right click in an empty space right here and hit view page source, and that's going to show you view page source. But if you want to actually see it on mobile, I hit inspect. And then it will show me this window right here will pop up with all this code. But if I hit, what do I want to look at it on? I can toggle it between mobile, and I can toggle it between, desktop. So that's how I'm seeing that on mobile. And then this also enables me to look at the code so I could see what type headers you use in alt tags, stuff like that. And that's how I do those audits that way. Thank you, Alfredo. Great information. Got one more person. Let me remove this real quick. They're saying that if I have Yoast SEO, if I install Rank Math plugin, will it retain the mechanicals? Anything to look up? If you're using Yoast, I'm not telling you necessarily to go to Rank Math. It's just sometimes Rank Math is better. Sometimes Yoast is better. Overall, they're both the same, but if you need to really look at certain aspects of them. I prefer Rank Math. When I switch to new plugin, sometimes you got to watch, is it going to pull the information that you had on Yoast? Sometimes you might have to fix them. So anytime I'm switching a plugin, and number one, I wouldn't have both installed. I would have one and one only installed, so there's no conflict. Sometimes you can create a conflict if you leave them both there. That's the other problem. And then also, you're going to want to make sure and rerun an audit and make sure nothing happened, because sometimes it doesn't pull all the data. So that's just my advice on that one. Well, it's been great with you, Matt. Email me, let me know if you have any more questions. If anybody has any more questions, then let me know, and I will obviously get them over to you. And I appreciate it, Matt. And y'all have a good one.